Right then, this is a quick road test video, and this is for a Ford Fiesta, and it's a 1.4 TDCi diesel, and it's the Edge version. This particular car is registered EY12UFK, and mileage, you just press on the button, is just 37,897 miles. Whilst we're stopped, because I think a lorry just knocked some branches down off a tree. The reason we do these videos, very simply, is we want people who are looking at the cars we're selling online to actually see those cars in operation. We know to our costs, unfortunately, just how frustrating it can be to go and see a car which can look grand in the photographs and description given, only to get there and find out when you drive it it's got a fundamental issue which shows up clearly whilst you're test driving the car. So that's why we do it. It's also done on what are normally very quiet country roads, very close to our premises, and this actually forms part of the road test route any prospective buyer would go on. Again, the reason we use this section is basically so that if it is basically representative of what you'd feel yourself should you be offered a test drive in the car. So coming to the car in question, engine starts absolutely instantly, of course, and settles to completely smooth, even idle. There are no warning lights on the dashboard at all relating to the engine or any other part of the car. The engines are lovely little units, they really are. It's very smooth and quiet in operation, pulls really, really well from low revs all the way through. Very sort of flexible unit in that sense. But its headline fuel economy figures are, are fantastic and eminently achievable. You don't have to drive them with, an oversensitive foot to get really good economy. Clearly, it helps. So I'm not suggesting you drive it like a petrol car, but if you change up nice and early, let the torque of the engine do all the work. Fuel economy figures are simply amazing in them. And but it's just a very, very nice engine to use day in, day out, because it's not hard on the ear, it's smooth, you can hear it, but it's not got that kind of awful kind of raucous diesel sound that some seem to sort of throw back at you. So very, very pleasant indeed. Engine then feeds through clutch into gearbox. Clutch on the car, I guess, again, you'd expect with this mileage, but it's absolutely perfect. The bike point is exactly where it's meant to be. There's no it's smooth and quiet in operation as well. Gearbox on the car, always been a strong point of Ford. They always do nice feeling gearboxes, and this one's no different. It's very slick shifting, short and throw, very precise. It's just a very pleasant gearbox to use, again, day in, day out. And it feels as tight as it would have done when it was new. It just feels absolutely tight as a drum. Steering of the vehicle, the chassis and the steering on these Fiestas, I have to say, absolutely brilliant. It could be from a class above easily, or if not two classes above. It's pretty much perfect for day-to-day driving. It's got a lovely fluid feel to the power steering. Really precise, really accurate, works absolutely perfectly in conjunction with the chassis of the vehicle, because that's not always the case. That sometimes you get cars with sort of sharp, quick steering and a kind of a flaccid, loose chassis, but this isn't at all. It's just, the enthusiast will enjoy it as much as the person who literally just wants to go from A to B. And again, the steering just feels incredibly tight and taut in use. It also tracks absolutely dead straight. There's no vibrations at all coming from the steering at this speed or any speed up to the legal limit. So again, all good. The chassis of the vehicle, as I've alluded to, just wonderful. What it gives you is kind of the best of both worlds, which is really, really hard to achieve for manufacturers. The ride is really comfortable, beautifully damped, and very, very well controlled. I mean, it is a fabulously comfortable car. Normally, unfortunately, when you get fabulously comfortable cars, you also then get kind of floppy, rolly handling, and nothing could be further from the truth, because this is a really enjoyable chassis to flow through corners, and all corners at all speeds. It really is a lovely, lovely car. What I'm looking for in these road tests as well whilst driving, especially with the chassis, is just when you hit a bump, is there any kind of secondary noises, any sort of chattering noises coming from underneath the vehicle? Normally quite innocent stuff, in fairness, like sort of drop links, but there's nothing at all. So there's a really horrible bump along this test drive route, which we're about to go over, which is the perfect test for it, which is just about to come up now. That one there is horrible, but if anything's loose underneath, it'll show up, and there's nothing at all. Again, it just feels incredibly tight. Coming to the brakes of the car, just wait to get around the corner, make sure no one's behind me. Give it a bit of a shove, but really good brake pedal on the car. Again, what I'm looking for is good initial bites, which it gives, but also when you hit the brakes hard, there shouldn't be any kind of pulsing or vibrations coming back through the brake pedal, and there's nothing at all. Inside the vehicle, the car has literally just arrived, so it hasn't been cleaned yet, although it is very clean in here. It's not going to need an awful lot. I'm going to swing around here because there's some traffic lights up there, so excuse me while I do this. But yeah, the interior, it's going to require the lightest of cleans to make it up to our standard, because it's very nice in here. Also, very nicely put together. No squeaks, rattles, buzzers from the interior, all very, very nicely done. And just a nice place to sit and operate a car, in all honesty. Natural drive position, really good. Where the dash comes out to you, again, really simple, easy to use controls. Air conditioning is absolutely ice cold in the car, and all the functions working exactly as they should in here. But as you'd expect for such a low mileage car. Worth pointing out, once I finish this and the car's been cleaned, it'll be going through the workshops and it'll be having a service, and then off for an independent MOT, hopefully later today. So all will be checked. But lovely, a really cracking little car. Drives solid as rock, just very tight. Feels exactly like the miles it's done. Obviously, it's such a low mileage car, you expect it to be good. But let's say that's not always the case, so hence that's why we do the videos. As always though, if you've got any questions about the car, don't hesitate, do give us a call.